Hey there, welcome back to another video. This time around, it is my review of the 1993 thriller, The Firm. Now, before I get around to sharing more of my thoughts on this film, I want to give a special shout out to Jacob for requesting this review. If there's another film, TV show, or topic that you would like to see me discuss in the future, feel free to donate to my PayPal. The link will be in the video description down below, and I will try to get to it as soon as I possibly can. Now, the Firm is a movie that was actually rather successful when it came out. It made over $200 million worldwide at the box office. It got a lot of critical acclaim. It even got 2 Oscar nominations for Best Score and Best Supporting Actress. So, it's a film that definitely made its mark. But for whatever reason, it just really didn't do that much for me. I thought this film was shockingly average. And for a film with such a great cast and with a capable director in Sidney Pollack, that's really disappointing. I know the film definitely has its fans, and I get it, but it's just a movie that just never really grabbed me. It's a film that just kind of was there for the whole 2 hours. Mainly, I was moderately invested in it due to the cast, because there are some really good performances in this film, but that's really about it. I wasn't really that wrapped up in the story because I felt that it was pretty predictable and cliched, and then on top of that, I didn't feel that it really had a lot of twists and turns that really surprised me or made me think twice about what I initially thought was going to happen next. And there was just a lot of stuff with the overall plot that I was just not impressed with. There was this whole subplot with an affair that didn't do anything for me at all because I didn't really buy into the love story to begin with the two with Tom Cruise and Jeanne Tripplehorn's characters. And there were just a lot of moments where the film just was just dead in the water because I just wasn't really that captivated by it. I think a big part of it, there's a lot of scenes that just don't really compel the viewer that much, whether it's due to the plot or due to the writing or the dialogue. It's a very slow paced film. There's barely any action in it. I know it's not an action film, but thrillers, to me, really kind of need at least like a couple scenes of action. And I know there's a little bit of it in the film near the end, but by that point it's already too late to me. And even that little bit isn't much. There's like a scene that's supposed to be really tense with Tom Cruise hiding from these 2 guys. The 2 guys are Tobin Bell and Wilford Brimley, of all people, surprisingly enough. And Tom Cruise doesn't really do that much. Tobin Bell gets shot by Wilford Brimley because he thinks that he's Tom Cruise, and then Wilford Brimley just gets knocked out rather easily. And there's not a lot of style either when it comes to these moments that are supposed to be exciting. So that's definitely something that's a knock against the film as well. And I'm sorry, I don't care what you do, making copies is not that exciting to watch. It doesn't matter what camera angle you use or what technique or how it's written. You're just making copies. Like, might as well just have the film star Rob Schneider as this character from SNL, as the making copies guy. Making copies. Tom Cruise. I mean, I just I just don't understand why this was considered to be a good idea for a feature film. Like, as a novel, maybe it works better, but as a feature film, there just isn't a lot here to really keep you invested and to really keep the story flowing and moving along in a way that really consistently captivates an audience. At least not for me personally. It doesn't help either that Sidney Pollack's direction is rather bland. I mean, there are some okay looking shots, but a lot of the film just does not impress visually either. And Sidney Pollack's a very good director. He's done some really excellent work. I don't think this is one of his strongest efforts. There are a lot of scenes that just fall very flat because the direction just is listless. Listless direction, which is fitting for a pretty listless film. And I know it sounds like I'm really harsh on the movie, and that's because I expected more from it, but also I'm not someone who hated the film. This isn't really a rant. It's just a movie that I'm disappointed with. You know, it's like a parent who's disappointed in a child because they didn't excel. They didn't do as well with something that they honestly thought that they could have done. It's that kind of thing where you're like, I'm not mad, I'm just really disappointed. I'm really disappointed in you. And I'm disappointed in the direction by Pollack, just not impressive in the slightest. There were some shots that really looked like a TV movie, which I thought was just astonishing. I was like, why? This film cost over $40 million. Why does this look like it cost not even half that in some of these scenes? And then the script by three different writers, David Robb, Robert Town, and David Reifel. I thought this script was subpar. The setup for the story was okay, where you had McDear and he's this hotshot wannabe lawyer who falls for the biggest offer that was thrown in his lap by this firm and takes it without even asking any questions because he wants to be rich. So it doesn't really seem like he's that smart of a guy, at least at the start. But then throughout the film, you find out he's actually really, really intelligent, and he one ups the firm and the FBI, and I don't know. I guess the film didn't really do a great job of making me buy that Tom Cruise's character was this really smart, intelligent, hotshot lawyer. I think there should have been a little bit more going on with this character, at least early on in the film when you're first introduced to him, to make you really buy that he's this character, that he's this guy who's going to be able to believably one up the firm and the FBI by the end of the movie. There are some scenes where the script does provide those moments for Tom Cruise and his character, but I feel like there should have been more of those scenes, especially early on. I don't like the love story at all between McDear and his wife. I don't think it works. I don't think it's effective. I think each scene that those two are in, the film just slows down to a complete halt because I just don't have any investment in these characters. I don't have any investment in their relationship. And I don't feel the script did a good job at all really establishing these characters as two people that are madly in love with one another. I just didn't buy it. And the conflict that later on happens in the film, that also came across as not very authentic, or it just came across as something I didn't care about because I didn't care about the relationship at the start of the film. And that's a core aspect of McDear's character and what's going on with him and his emotional story as things unfold throughout the movie. And I just, if I'm indifferent on it, that's not a good thing, and that's not a good sign when it comes to the screenplay. That's a sign of a pretty subpar script where you can't really get me emotionally invested in whether or not he gets his wife back by the end of the film. I did not care. And I really didn't like McDear that much as a character either. Just very on the fence about the guy consistently. Like, I never really was loving him at any point in the movie. Like, he was just a character that I was like, oh, he's all right, I guess. But I never fell in love with this character, and that's That's definitely something that I gotta blame the script for. I gotta look at these three screenwriters and say, hey, that's your fault. It's not Tom Cruise's fault because his performance is actually pretty good. It's your fault. And this is another script that has so many characters and so many other sort of subplots that are going on, and as a result there's a lot of them that aren't really as strong as others, and things just get kind of muddled and confusing sometimes. And there's just so many scenes where it just seems like nothing happens, or there's just a lot of dialogue. And I don't care how many scenes you throw in of Tom Cruise running, that doesn't mean that you have an exciting script. I don't think there was enough twists and turns either. I don't think that there was enough of an edge to it. Like there was a scene where Gary Busey's private eye character gets shot and killed by Tobin Bell, but other than that scene, there's not really a lot of blood, there's not really a lot of violence, there's not really much of an edge. It feels very toothless for a film about this ruthless firm that's owned by the mob, and it just didn't really feel like there was enough of a sharp edge to things. I really feel that it could have benefited from Wilford Brimley, Tobin Bell doing something really fucked up or really twisted, or something along those lines. And it just never really happens. You get Wilford Brimley, oh, he took some photos of Tom Cruise, of McDeere banging some chick on the beach. And that's really as far as you get. It's like, I don't know, it just felt like for a firm that's supposedly so ruthless and kills all these lawyers before they're able to leave, it just felt like it wasn't really that intimidating or that big of a deal. So I think that's a serious issue with this script. But it has its moments. It's not a total miss. There are some moments where there are some fun lines of dialogue. The film really comes alive with the screenplay and with uh, the the dynamic with the cast when you have scenes with Tom Cruise and Gene Hackman. The two are a really good pair, and the scenes that they share are some of the best in the entire movie. It's a shame that there aren't more scenes like that. Ed Harris, the scenes with his character as FBI guy trying to get to McDeere, those are also pretty good too. And I will admit there were some aspects of the finale when it comes to some of the things that are revealed that I didn't necessarily see coming. So I got to give the scriptwriters a little credit for that in terms of pulling the wool over my eyes. But I can't sing a ton of praises for this script because you have a decent enough concept of this hotshot lawyer who joins this firm and doesn't know really what the truth is and what's going on. He's naive, and people start showing up dead in the firm, and then he starts doing his own research, and then he gets a target put on his back, and now he's stuck between a rock and a hard place, because now he's got to either work for the firm and then eventually get busted by the FBI, or work with the FBI and lose his ability to be a lawyer. Because if he does what the FBI tells him to do, he's going to throw everything away. So you do have that going on, but I think if the script did a better job making McDeere a more likable protagonist, then that would feel more heavy. Like it would feel like there's more weight to that. I mean, there are moments with him and his brother where you could kind of see maybe the start of something like that. And I think they probably could have established the relationship with his brother even earlier and have some more scenes with him talking to his brother in prison, because I felt that those scenes were strong too in terms of showing that McDeere is more of a relatable character. He's more of a guy who does have some genuine spirit to him or a connection with somebody. I felt the connection with McDeere and his brother was stronger than the connection between him and his wife. So I do feel that that should have been fleshed out even more. It would have helped the character, would have made things stronger. And just overall, just a lot of the drama, a lot of the stuff is just predicated around making copies or looking for receipts, and it just is not that exciting or that enticing. What is enticing is the cast. It's a very enticing, excellent cast. Tom Cruise does a good job playing this character, doing what he can with the script. It's supposed to be a promising Harvard law graduate. He's very intense, and it was a good casting choice. Tom Cruise plays those kind of characters really well. The guy who's calm under pressure, but always seems like there's something boiling underneath. Like, he's always really good at playing that kind of role. And he can be very charismatic too. I just didn't really get as much of that with this character, and that has nothing to do with Tom Cruise. He's doing what he does best. It just isn't good enough because the script doesn't really give him those moments where he can really soar, where he can really take the material and run with it. Jeanne Tripplehorn, I like her, but I feel she was either miscast or it's just a lame performance. Like, I just didn't buy her connection with Tom Cruise. They had zero chemistry. I know some people have pointed out that it seemed like she was constipated throughout the entire movie, and I think that's actually pretty accurate, which is definitely why her performance is just so stilted and so stiff. I mean, it's just a stilted, stiff performance. No chemistry with Tom Cruise. Either miscast or just didn't really buy into the film or the script, or I don't know what happened. Or maybe Sidney Pollack just wasn't able to get the best out of her. She's a capable actress. She did a great job in Waterworld after this film, but this just wasn't the right fit, or it just wasn't a good performance. Sometimes that happens. Gene Hackman, he was great as Avery Tolar, Mitch's mentor at the firm. Pretty much stole every scene he was in. He was fantastic. And he was a last minute casting choice because initially the producers and the director wanted to gender flip things and have Meryl Streep play the role and have her get into an affair with Tom Cruise. But Tom Cruise, I think it was Tom Cruise or someone else involved with the film that was like, no, I don't want to do that. Let's do something else. And that's when Gene Hackman was brought in, and the film definitely did benefit from that a lot. Like, Gene Hackman's scenes are a treat because Gene Hackman is a great actor, one of my favorites, and he just injects so much life and vitality and just charisma into every scene that he's in. Holly Hunter, she's fine too as Tammy. I don't know why she was nominated for an Oscar, though. It's not really an Oscar-worthy performance. I mean, why wasn't she? I don't know if she was nominated for an Oscar for Raising Arizona, but she should have been. If we're talking about Holly Hunter performances, like, that's a lot more impressive than performance here. Ed Harris, he's the FBI agent in charge of the investigation into the firm. He's a good foil for Tom Cruise. They definitely have a lot of chemistry when it comes to the moments when they're at each other's throats. Hal Holbrook, great actor. Solid performance. The senior partner at the firm. I guess he's supposed to be like the main head of things, but he doesn't really have a lot of screen time, and it seems like a lot of his dialogue is just trailer dialogue and exposition. So it kind of feels like a waste of Hal Holbrook at times. David Stratharin, I thought he was pretty noteworthy as Mitch's brother. I liked his take on that character. There's a certain charm to him that I definitely did find not only believable but very personable, and was a guy that you really liked despite him being in jail for manslaughter. You kind of felt bad for him, and especially when you hear about his story, like, it was very similar to what happened in Con Air, where he killed a guy in a bar fight. It wasn't really. It wasn't really like premeditated murder or anything. Wilford Brimley, I've heard people say that he was miscast as Devasher, the head of security. No, I thought it was a brilliant bit of casting, an out of the box casting choice that worked really well. I really liked Wilford Brimley's performance in this. Another actor whose take on a character I wish I saw more of in this movie. Can we have more scenes with Wilford Brimley? Establish his character more, see him be even more sadistic and violent and fucked up. Gary Busey was great in the few scenes that he was in. He was so good, I wanted him in the film more. Why did you have to kill him off? Tobin Bell, creepy. Definitely well cast as the hitman, as one of the hitmen, the albino guy, and Dean Norris was the other guy who tagged along with him throughout the movie. He played a good heavy as well. But honestly, it does feel like a legitimate waste of a excellent cast because you get such a mediocre, middling film. The cinematography by John Seal, it's serviceable. It's nothing spectacular. It's serviceable. It's really not anything that's really that eye-catching. The editing by William Steinkamp and Frederick Steinkamp, it's also pretty mediocre and adequate. It's fine. I think there are some scenes that could have been punched up a little bit with some more clever, inventive edits, but it could have been a lot worse. The score, I don't know what the hell the Academy was smoking when they nominated this for Best Score. The score by Dave Grusin, who did the score for The Goonies, which is one of my favorite scores of all time, in this film is atrocious. This score is awful. It sounds like lounge music. I couldn't even pronounce lounge there for a second because I'm just so shocked at how bad this score is, and shocked that this score got nominated for an Oscar. Really? This score? It sounds like cocktail lounge music? Or the score for a Lifetime original movie? Like, this score was so out of place. It was astonishing. It was amazing. I remember when I first heard the first few notes of this score, I was like, really? This is the score for this thriller? Somebody dinking around on a piano? Like, what the hell is this? And then it just keeps going. It doesn't fit the tone of the film. It doesn't fit any of the scenes that it's in. It's a spectacularly shitty score, and it was nominated for an Oscar. What? This score is so bad that it hurts the film immensely because it's distracting. The Firm is a film that I will point out to people to prove how much a good score helps a movie and how much a bad score can detract from a film. Because a lot of people look at scores and think they're not really that important. Oh, it's just really background stuff. And I disagree with that wholeheartedly. Scores can be the heart of a film, and they can also be the dagger into the heart of the movie. And with The Firm, it's the dagger. The score is terrible. It's tonally inconsistent, and it's not really that unique. It's not memorable. It's just a really bad score. And it's something that distracts you throughout the entire running time. Because every time it pops up, you're like, what? This again? And it just hurts scenes. So many scenes in this film are really robbed of their full potential because of the score and how bad it is. And for a film that's 154 minutes, it definitely does drag. And it drags because of the issues that I mentioned. It drags because of the score that's tonally inconsistent. It drags because of the characters and how they're written. It drags because of the overall plot and the lack of suspense or intrigue for the most part, except for maybe a few moments here and there. It's really a film that you are just along for the ride, and you're just kind of like, okay. It wasn't too bumpy, it wasn't too chaotic, but the landscape outside wasn't really that interesting. Just a lot of flat, dry land. It's just a very mediocre, run of the mill thriller. Um, I know a lot of people would probably disagree with me, and that's fine. I have no problem with that whatsoever. But to me, The Firm is firmly forgettable.